Okay, so today we are going to look at evaluating algebraic expressions. To start, when we are asked to evaluate algebraic expressions, basically what we need to do is we are going to substitute the value of the variables into the expression to find the numerical value of the expression. And when we do that, we want to make sure that we are always following our order of operations. So just to review, a lot of times with order of operations, we use the phrase PEMDAS. So with PEMDAS, basically, first we are looking at parentheses or other grouping symbols. And the thing to know about that is we're going to follow PEMDAS inside as well. Meaning if there is more than one operation inside the parentheses, we just keep following order of operations within it. And then our E is exponent. So for example, this would be like 2 to the second power. And then probably the part where I see people make the most mistakes is with multiplication and division, and then also with addition and subtraction. The common misconception is that multiplication has to come first because M is listed first in PEMDAS, but actually multiplication and division are related, and we always just make sure when we do them, they are done left to right. So it doesn't mean that multiplication always comes first, but multiplication and division should always come before any addition and subtraction. And then same thing here, addition and subtraction are also always going to be done left to right. So when we start evaluating algebraic expressions, a lot of times you're going to see the term evaluate. And what that basically means is you're going to find the value or find the answer. All right, so we are going to start with our first example, n minus 6. Since n is 14, what we're going to do is we are going to take this initial expression and we're going to substitute in what we know. So in this case, we know that 14 is equal to n. That means I'm going to take the n out and I'm going to substitute in what n is equal to, which is 14. And now I do 14 minus 6, so my value of this expression is 8. All right, on our next one, we have 5 times x plus 1. Our value is 3. And remember, when a number is written next to a variable, this means that this is being multiplied. So I'm going to take our x out, and I'm going to substitute in what is equal to x, so in this case 3. And I'm going to use a parentheses to kind of show that we're multiplying. Remember, we're not going to use x anymore for multiplication. And the reason we don't want to use x is because x looks like a variable. All right, and now we're just going to follow order of operations. Since we have multiplication and addition, multiplication is always going to come first. So 5 times 3 is 15, and then we're going to add 1, and then 15 plus 1 gives us a value of 16. All right, on our next expression, we have x squared plus 2x minus 1, and we're going to evaluate for when x is equal to 2. So I'm going to take those x's out. And I'm going to substitute in what x is equal to, in this case 2. And now I'm going to follow order of operations. There are no parentheses, but there are some exponents this time. Okay, so remember 2 to the second means I have 2 times 2, which is 4. And then next we would do our multiplication. So now we're going to have 4 plus 4. And now since it's addition and subtraction, we're just going to go all the way across. So 4 plus 4 is 8, minus 1 is 7. So our final value is 7. And sometimes we will have more than one variable in an expression, and we might have different values for those. So here we have 1/5 x minus 1/2 y. Even though there are fractions, and we've worked with fractions, it works the same way. So it's going to be 1/5 times x minus 1/2 times y. So I'm going to take my x out and put in what x is equal to. So in this case, 50. And then I'm going to take the y out and substitute in what's equal to y, which is 18. Now, if you remember from when we multiplied fractions, we are just going to put both of our whole numbers over 1, and then we can multiply straight across. So 1 times 50 is 50. 5 times 1 is 5. And since these are actually separated by a subtraction sign, I can actually do both of these multiplication problems in the same sequence because they're separated by the subtraction sign. So now 1 times 18 is 18, 2 times 1 is 2. Now you might be saying, oh, but Miss Whitney, there's fractions and we're going to need to find a common denominator because we're adding and subtracting. That might be true, but because these are also improper fractions, we're going to see if we can simplify them at all. So I'm going to look first at this as a division problem. So here, even though it's 50/5, it's also the same thing as 50 divided by 5. And I know that 50 divided by 5 gives me a value of 10. And then same thing on the right. Even though it's 18 halves, I can also look at it as 18 divided by 2, which gives us a value of 9. And now I just have 10 minus 9, which is 1. So that's our final value. I want you to pause the video and try these next two on your own and then see how you do. All right, so on this one, we have 10, plus 2 times our value for p, which is 3, minus our value for r, which is 5. Order of operations says I have to do multiplication first. So it's going to be 10 plus 6 minus 5. And now since it's just addition and subtraction, I'm going to work left to right. 10 plus 6 is 16 minus 5 for a final value of 11. One thing I want you to note is as I'm doing my work, we should be showing our steps as we work down, almost like it's this big, gigantic funnel that we're working with, okay? So our answer, right, we're kind of funneling down. And the reason we do that is that way when we make mistakes, it's a lot easier to pinpoint exactly where the mistake happened and why the mistake happened. Was it in mistake with PEMDAS, was it a calculation error, things like that. So we want to make sure that we're always showing our steps as we go through. All right, on this last one, it's 7 times the quantity of 3 times x. So x is 2 plus 1. Now notice we have parentheses within our parentheses, but in this case we're using our parentheses for multiplication. If you had a case where there was parentheses within parentheses, like I said, you follow order of operations, you would do the innermost parentheses first and then work your way out. So here the 7's going to stay, and then 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1. And then we have to simplify what's inside of parentheses first. So 6 plus 1 is 7, and then 7 times 7 is 49. So our final value is 49.